Tread is a 2019 documentary about Marv Heemeyer. If you're unfamiliar with him, he is a welder who decided to outfit a bulldozer with steel plating, guns, cameras, plexiglass, and basically go on a several-hour rampage through the small town that he lived in. When the story first broke out in 2004, I didn't really see it on the news. But I did read about it on a comedy website called crack.com, and they sort of skewed it to make it more humorous because they're like a comedy website. So they sort of made Marv out to be like a folk hero. They give you the backstory that he's just like a little man pushed to his limit by a corrupt small town council, and it gives you the basics of like them trying to screw with him over and over and using all the sort of nepotism to keep the little man down. So he did the only thing he could do, and that is go on a rampage, vigilante justice style, with an outfitted bulldozer. However, Tread, the documentary, takes a more different approach to the story. You get a more in-depth look at Marv. The first half hour, you get some backstory of like the whole dispute, his love of snowmobiling. You get an account from his former girlfriend, his friends, his snowmobiling friends. And then we sort of slip into the sort of mental illness aspect. It's really glossed over in news articles because, they don't have the same depth that this documentary does. And they basically explore that, Marv wasn't all there. And honestly, looking back, you can realize now that he wasn't. I mean, a normal person doesn't spend 18 months, almost 24 hours a day, 4 days at a time without a shower, outfitting a bulldozer into a sort of mini tank to go on a rampage to get justice for small slights. Like people are trying to say like the documentary, isn't exploring, like the cover up. They're trying to bury him. They were out to get him. Or maybe, Marv Heemeyer had some mental illness stuff going on. Everyone said he was a nice guy, but then they use the recordings to sort of showcase, how maybe unhinged he was. I don't know if the council members are lying, but in some of the accounts they offered Marv money for his property, and he kept saying no, or he kept messing with them to he wanted to come out on top, and he felt like they were trying to screw him the whole time, and he felt like he couldn't let it go. There were multiple times where he could have taken some money and walked away and just retired, but he was like, no, I want to take it to them. I want to stick it to the man, and to the point where he went on this insane rampage. So the movie's technical aspects itself are amazing. The movie does the whole documentary aspect with the accounts of all the different people, from the town members to the girlfriend to the friends to law enforcement, especially the people who were physically there. But the movie also does recreation footage, and not too much. It blends it together for a really satisfying, almost like a disaster film sort of aspect. They pretty much recreated some parts, but then the rest is like archive footage. So you really get this sort of immersive experience of like what it's like to just be there on ground level zero, having this giant small tank-like thing just start running through buildings. And like the crack.com article kind of glossed over certain facts, like they said that Marv didn't kill anyone during his rampage, but when you watch the documentary, he didn't really make steps to call buildings ahead of time. He just sort of went at them, and he probably could have killed a couple people, but it's just, great luck that he didn't do more than just the damage to the buildings. He could have toppled the building on top of several people, or an old lady sleeping in her house, or the propane tank thing. So this documentary is very well done. It's very slow at the beginning. You sort of get all this sort of backstory about Marv, but then as you sink deeper into the rampage, they give you more and more info that you wouldn't get on a cursory, news article, and it's a very absorbing and interesting documentary. Of course, because it's like such a strange story, it sounds like something like supervillain would come up with, and it's up to Batman to stop him. But this happened in real life. It was a real person. It was something extraordinary, and that's definitely worth watching, I feel. And it's definitely for anyone who heard about the subject and wants a little bit more in-depth. But I feel like they didn't really explore the mental illness aspect. But overall, Tread is a very interesting and satisfying documentary. And I give it an 8 out of 10.